7 disturbing ghost sightings caught on camera. Moments that will stay with you long after the screen goes dark. That's the promise tonight. By the end of this countdown, you'll have watched grainy porch footage, shaky ring clips, a child's unsettling imaginary friend, a drawer that opens itself, and a mist that creeps across a yard like something out of a nightmare. I'm not saying any of this proves anything. I'm only asking you to look, to listen, and to decide what these cameras captured. Before we dive in, quick note. If you've got footage that might belong in a future compilation, send it to footagemehauntedchannel.com. We may feature it. Now settle in, lights low, and let's start with number 7. Number 7. Porch figure with domino source and setting. Rural property, late night. Homeowner recording from a porch camera. The family dog, Domino, is restless in the foreground. The clip begins ordinary. A truck parked near the tree line. Crickets. The faint hum of insects. Grainy low-light video, deep blues and mottled blacks, frames a young man on the porch, a mug in his hand. Domino paws at the screen door, ears pricked. Then, from the darkness beyond the truck, a darker shape steps briefly into view. It's not a clear person. Colors merge into brownish-red tones, like someone cloaked in shadow with the last smear of light catching the shoulder. The figure pauses for a second, almost as if looking toward the house, then melts back into the trees as though swallowed by the night. You can hear the homeowner whisper something, half laugh, half called question, and Domino barks once, anxious. The man squints, leans forward, and the camera auto-adjusts, adding the familiar grain and bloom that happens in late-night smartphone footage. The image is gone when he pans to follow it. There's a lingering echo of the truck's lights, a small pool of sodium glare, and then the clip ends with a long, unsettled silence and the dog pacing again. Immediate reaction. It's the kind of scare that makes your heart jump, the feeling that someone just stepped beyond the edge of the familiar yard. You can hear the unease in the homeowner's voice. Possible explanations. A person walking through with a jacket that changes how light hits it. A deer or large animal caught mid-stride and flattened by low light. A camera exposure jump that creates a blob of color. Rural security camera sensors often smear motion into amorphous shapes. At the same time, Domino's reaction is real and unscripted. Animals can sense things humans don't, or they can simply react to small noises the camera misses. Microhook. If trees can hide a stranger, what happens when the disturbance comes from inside the house? Coming up next, a set of TikTok clips that escalate from a flickering stairlight to a doorway that opens on its own. Verse 6. Melody's 311 source and setting. A sequence of TikTok uploads by a user named Melody. Clips recorded in a dimly lit entryway and bedroom over several nights with a noted pattern. Disturbances at precisely 3:11 a.m. The first clip is quiet and oddly domestic. A stairway with a single bulb, filmed in vertical phone orientation. Melody captions it, "It happens every night at 3:11. The light above the stairs flickers, slow, deliberate, then steadies. The second clip, shot by a follower from a slightly different angle, shows a pale, ringed orb near the top of the stairwell, just as a door on the landing clicks open by itself. Melody's later footage from her bedroom is jumpier. A cat darts across the frame, then stops, staring toward the doorway, as an unseen knock taps a hollow rhythm. In her most watched upload, the door to her bedroom moves inward a fraction on its hinges, and an orb of light seems to float down the hall before the camera skews and Melody gasps off-screen. Audience reaction in the comments threads, respectful and worried, mentions Melody's recent grief after her uncle's funeral. She speaks in a short voiceover in one clip, a whisper. "He always came in at that hour. I don't know." There's a human weight to her fear that makes the weirdness feel less like a prank and more like a cry for meaning. Immediate reaction. The repeated timestamp, 3:11, gives the footage a chilling rhythm. Patterns create narrative. We see intention in repetition, even when there may be none. Possible explanations. Electrical issues or a faulty bulb can cause regular flickers at the same time each night if wired to a timer. Door movement might be caused by drafts or uneven floorboards, and orbs are often lens flare, dust, or insects reflecting light. Grief and suggestion can amplify how we interpret ambiguous stimuli. When a person expects a presence, ordinary sounds feel charged. That said, the emotional context matters. Whatever is happening is real to Melody, and her fear is valid. Microhook, from flickering bulbs to drawers operating without hands. Next, a clip that defies easy context. Number 5. The drawer source and setting. Anonymous viewer submitted clip, bedroom at night, handheld phone recording from the foot of a bed. This one is short and simple in composition, but long on unease. A man films himself half laughing in bed, a lamp dim, the room comfortable. At the far side, a wooden dresser stands with a top drawer slightly ajar. He jokes about being too tired to close it, reaches for his phone, and in the next beat, the drawer slides open farther by itself. The sound of wood rubbing wood is audible, a soft scraping that grows into a thunk as it reaches the full open. He freezes, breath held audible, and the camera shakes as he leans in. The drawer then slowly slides closed with no visible push and settles into place with a soft click. There's no rushing wind, no visible hands, and the phone's audio captures the man's exhale. "Nope," he says, voice small and earnest, then laughs nervously as if to diffuse his own fear. The clip ends before anything else happens, cut cleanly as if he couldn't bring himself to show more. Immediate reaction. It's the classic haunted house moment, the object that refuses to stay where we left it. The ordinary domestic quality makes it creepier. It could have been staged, but it also could be exactly what the uploader claims. Unexpected, unexplained movement. Possible explanations. Drawers that open on their own can be the result of warped wood, a slight tilt of the furniture, or the vibration from someone walking nearby. If placed on springy floorboards or tested after temperature changes, a drawer might move. Pranks are possible, especially in short clips with no context. Still, the rawness of the man's reaction, he clearly didn't expect it, leans toward authenticity in how it was filmed. Microhook. Not every anomaly is a shadow. Sometimes something that looks like smoke is not smoke at all. Next, a mother, a daughter, and a name that won't go away. Number 4. Hannah, her daughter, and Joe. Source and setting. Suburban home in Australia, TikTok and follow-up clips from Hannah, a mother documenting her 3-year-old's playtime, and an imaginary friend that seems to have the details of a past resident. This segment runs deeper than a single jump. Hannah's 3-year-old begins telling stories about Joe, not a fantastical figure, but a plain, middle-aged man who wears gardening gloves and likes the shed. At first, Hannah laughs it off. Then the kid starts spelling a last name, an old surname Hannah later finds in municipal property records tied to a man who once worked on the same block decades earlier. The girl's insistence on detail, what tool Joe likes, how he sits on a certain crate, pushes the oddness beyond normal imaginary friend territory. Hannah posts camera clips, footage of the workshop door swinging open when no one is nearby, an acoustic sensor tripping with a cold gust, and a handheld shot where her phone's temperature readout dips a few degrees in the doorway. In another video, she films the backyard at dusk. The grain of the footage picks up tiny dust motes, and a shadow seems to linger near a bench where no one stands. She approaches the old workshop, and a small box, decades dull, falls from a shelf as though nudged. Immediate reaction. This one reads like a mystery you can't fully file away. The specificity from a toddler is arresting. Kids say strange things all the time, but they usually lack the contextual texture this child provides. Possible explanations. Children are sponges of overheard details. Neighbors, playground tales, or local history lessons can seed precise-sounding stories. Pareidolia, the mind finding patterns and meaning in random stimuli, can make an old name suddenly significant. Temperature sensors on phones are unreliable. Drafts from poorly sealed doors can cause the cold gust effect. At the same time, objects falling and the timing of the child's statements add layers that make this more than a simple anecdote. Microhook. When Ring cameras catch something crossing an empty street, the debate between data artifact and apparition gets louder. Up next, a late-night crossing captured by a doorbell camera. Number 3. Ring crossing source and setting. Ring camera footage, suburban street, late at night. User identified only as Joe. The clip opens with a quiet residential scene, dim sodium streetlights, a row of parked cars, a wet sheen on the asphalt. The Ring's motion sensor triggers and the camera jerks toward a pedestrian crossing the street. But this isn't a solid silhouette. The figure appears semi-translucent, like someone seen through frosted glass. Limbs are slightly softened around the edges, the torso diffracts the streetlight into a faint halo, and there's a subtle horizontal ripple across the frame, as if the image slightly lags against itself. At a certain point the figure stops, turns slightly as if noticing the camera, and then continues walking. But the exact portion of pavement it leaves from seems to darken, and remain darker for a beat after it passes, an after-image burned into the sensor. No footsteps audible, nothing in the audio track beyond a distant car. The clip skirts the uncanny line where you can't tell if you're watching a cheap special effect or an artifact of a low-bandwidth camera compressing a moving subject. Immediate reaction. It's a clean, modern haunt, the kind of clip that ignites threads on forums debating codecs, compression, and compression artifacts versus ghosts. The visual strangeness is undeniably eerie. Possible explanations. Video compression, sensor bloom, and reflective clothing in low light can all create halos and ghosting. Ring cameras use motion detection and buffer frames, a combination of latency, exposure adjustments, and infrared bloom can produce a semi-transparent look. Alternatively, an actual person with reflective clothing crossing a wet road at night can be transformed by light into something otherworldly on camera. The absence of audio is consistent with distance and wind-muffling sound. Microhook. Reflections can betray you, especially in the small, bright world of a bedroom window. Our next clip is from France, and it's captured in glass. Number 2. Reflection in the window source and setting. Long-term disturbances recorded by a French woman in her bedroom over months, culminating in a clip where a reflection reveals a tall, dark figure behind her. This collection follows a woman who has been documenting items shifting on her dresser, footsteps at night, and the recurring sense of being watched. In the most striking clip, shot at a slanted angle from inside her darkened bedroom, she films herself sitting on the bed as a soft light spills from a hallway. On the glass of her bedroom window, where the room reflects against the night outside, something tall and dark appears behind her in the reflection. It's taller than anyone in the room, featureless and solid black against the reflective pane. She doesn't see it directly in the room. Only in the mirror-like surface of the window do those proportions manifest. Her immediate reaction is a sharp, involuntary intake of breath. The camera shakes as she moves, trying to catch the figure on the other side of the glass, but the reflection persists for several frames, then blinks out, as if someone turned off a light behind the reflection's position. The woman remains calm in a brittle way. She has documented incidents before and seems careful not to escalate. She posts the clip with a comment about how long the disturbances have gone on, the slow accumulation of odd events that make a home feel invaded. Immediate reaction. Reflections can do strange things, but a silhouette appearing only in a reflective surface and not directly in the room triggers a specific deep discomfort, like a doubled world brushing against the one we inhabit. Possible explanations. Window reflections are deceptive. Something outside the room, perhaps a person walking past or an object with a dark profile, could create that mirrored silhouette. Interior lighting angle matters. A strong interior light will treasure the reflection while dimming the exterior view. Long exposure and condensation patterns can also form shapes that read like a figure. Still, the timing and duration of this reflection, combined with the woman's history of disturbances, make it disturbing rather than comfortably explainable. Micro hook. If a shadow can show up in a reflection, what does it look like when a whole yard fills with a moving fog? Number 1 is a mist that refuses to be dismissed. Number 1. The yard mist. Source and setting. Reddit users outdoor security cam, nighttime. A thick mist moves across a suburban yard in a way viewers compared to cinematic dementors. This is our climax. An outdoor security cam with time-stamped footage that shows something both subtle and dramatic. The clip begins with the usual. A quiet yard, lawn chairs stacked, the faint orange glow of a street lamp painting the fence. Then, from the far left of the frame, a dense roll of mist or smoke begins to creep in. At first it looks like a patch of fog caught by a breeze, but instead of dispersing or following the expected path of air, the mist flows with intention, sweeping around a tree, coalescing into a thicker, darker patch, then sinking low across the grass in a near-solid sheet. Viewers in the thread describe it as like a creature gliding. The mist moves against the faint wind, curling around objects and then compressing as it passes a garden gnome, as if it recognizes obstacles. There's an uncanny elasticity to the way it behaves, not simple vapor, but a coherent traveling shape that leaves an afterglow on the camera's IR reflection. For several long seconds, the mist turns toward the camera and the frame's upper portion brightens with a strange, cold luminescence. The clip ends with the mist sliding past the camera's field of view, leaving the yard eerily still. Immediate reaction. This footage sticks because it looks purposeful. We're used to fog moving with wind patterns. This maneuvers. The comparison to fictional dementors speaks to its oppressive, animating quality. Something that isn't merely in the air, but seems to occupy it with will. Possible explanations. Outdoor infrared cameras can react to temperature differentials in unusual ways. Condensation off a heat source, a distant controlled burn, or even a deliberate smoke effect can create these visuals. Localized weather phenomena, microbursts, low-lying fog banks, can behave oddly in still air. However, the way this mist hugs objects and moves against apparent breeze is what makes it hard to casualize. It remains an unresolved, breathing image, and that unresolved quality is part of what haunts us. Immediate reaction after the countdown. 7 different settings, 7 different feelings. Each clip shows an ordinary place invaded by something anomalous. Cameras give us evidence. They don't give us answers. And the more modern the camera, the more ways the image can be altered by hardware and software. Synthesis and what to look for. Across these 7 sightings, a handful of threads bind them. Many occur at night, when visual ambiguity is highest and sense of vulnerability peaks. Several are domestic, porch, bedroom, workshop, places we think of as safe. Children enter the narrative not as victims, but as witnesses who sometimes recall strangely specific details. Camera technology recurs as both hero and villain. Ring and low-light sensors capture moments we otherwise wouldn't see, but they also introduce compression artifacts, infrared bloom, and reflection tricks that can turn a trick of optics into a ghost. When you watch such footage, ask a few quick questions. What is the camera type and lighting? Is there context or choreography that might explain the movement? Are reactions spontaneous and unrehearsed? Does the clip come with corroborating footage from another angle? Real anomaly is rare. So is irrefutable proof. That ambiguity is the engine of our fascination because it lets us hold both explanations in tension. The footage stays haunting precisely because it could be either. Safety and respect. If any of these stories touch on your own experiences, especially the ones involving children, please approach the situation with care. Speak to professionals if you feel genuinely threatened, or if a child shows ongoing distress. Do not go trespassing on private property or trying to recreate potentially dangerous scenarios for the sake of internet validation. Cameras record what's possible, not what's always safe to pursue. Final thoughts. Which of these 7 unsettled you the most? Was it Domino pacing on the porch, Melody's 311 pattern, the drawer that opened on its own, Hannah's daughter naming Joe, the translucent figure crossing the street, the reflected silhouette in the French bedroom, or the mist that moved like a body across the yard? Each clip leans on different things: the animal's instinct, grief-saturated expectation, mechanical oddities, child testimony, camera artifacts, reflective deception, and atmospheric anomaly. Each leaves us with a question we can't fully answer. If one of these disturbed you, or if you have footage that belongs in a future countdown, drop a comment below telling us which clip got under your skin and why. Don't forget to subscribe for more compilations like this, and if you've been keeping footage, send it to footagehauntedchannel.com. Share this video with someone who likes to stay up late and debate the unexplainable. Whatever they are, glitches, memories, tricks of light, or something else entirely, these 7 moments were all captured on camera. Now they've been shared with you. Sleep well, if you can.